so early. You guys want to get some coffee or something?
Can I get a cup of coffee? Black? Can't you see we talking? White?
Even little kids in Mexico drink coffee.
Well, I'm not a little kid in Mexico, okay?
That is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
You want a cup of coffee?
No coffee.
Coffee drinker, huh?
Maybe we could grab some coffee?
Coffee! Coffee, 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 coffee!
God damn, Jimmy. That's some serious gourmet shit. Me and Vincent would have been satisfied with some freeze-dried Taster's Choice, right? And he springs this serious gourmet shit on us.
Good morning. Broadcasting from my lunar base, just a couple of blocks away from Scribe Light's moon base. My name is Christopher Moonlight, and welcome to Morning Coffee with Chris. And what's going on, man? We got FTX, we got Disney, Bob Iger, Bob Chapek shenanigans, we got Strange World, we got Avatar on the way, and I'm not feeling any of it. So I want to talk today just kind of in general terms, not any particular subject, but what the hell is going on, and why we're on our own. And that's not particularly a bad thing. There's a lot of resources. So I'm going to kind of talk about what's making me cranky. You're not used to a cranky Christopher most of the time, but sometimes I get cranky. And but some things that are making me excited and get me out of that funk. But before we get started, I want to bring in, of course, John Das Wolfen. Thank you for that warm reaction. I appreciate it. Who's got new toys that are overpowering his voice audio, by the way, just so you know. But I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. He's gonna help me keep it light, and of course, Martin, who is our rock. And
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. And of course, to the chat, we've got Krampus Jeebus. Welcome. Krampus is gonna please take some naughty children away. Scribe Light, of course, my neighbor on the moon. Penny, welcome, Penny. And D-Bud Martin. And Anima Confusa. Did I say it right this time?
85%.
5%? All right.
No, 85.
85%. Okay.
And we have Slasher Fred.
Oh, welcome. Thank you. And thank you for saying that, because I was going to screw that up on the first try. Waves. Thank you very much. So, yeah. First, I want to cover a couple of kind of things that may seem non sequitur to start. And those are the subjects of cults, not the fun robe-wearing cults like in the movies, but cults in general. I just want to briefly overview, because this is going to be important, and I know it sounds weird, but characteristics of cult's behavior. There's 4 of them, according to the book The Wrong Way Home, which is a very interesting book. The first one is compliance with a group. If you're in a cult, you have to comply 100%.
You will respect my authority.
Exactly. 2, dependence on a leader.
Oops, sorry.
That's me. I'm the leader. John's really having a lot of fun with this.
Sorry. Hands off.
Number 3, devaluing the outsider. And I think that's a very important one that's going to come up a lot today. Devaluing the outsider. And 4, another important one, avoiding dissent. That is not my fault. Good morning, Anima. Thank you for always bearing with my terrible German. So, okay. So that's the first thing that I want to just kind of get out there on the table because it's going to be relevant. Characteristics of cult behavior, compliance with the group, dependence on a leader, devaluing the outsider, avoiding dissent. I think number 2, dependence on a leader, is kind of arbitrary in what I'm going to discuss. The other thing I want to discuss goes along with cults, which is compliance with the group and devaluing the outsider lead to what are called struggle sessions. I have been practicing. I say your name all the time, Anima. Don't
That's
tell Gary.
not creepy.
Yeah. You know, you don't see the shrine. It's off camera. But anyway, yeah. So struggle session. So struggle session is common in communist regimes, especially most typically China, which is essentially if you are found to be not completely in compliance with the group, they will kind of put you up in front of the group, and they will essentially make you confess to all your sins against the group, admit complete guilt, and then you will be ridiculed and shamed. They would put like dunce caps on people and ribbons, and then they would send you away, and you would be stripped of all your power, your credibility. You'd essentially be Krampus Jeebus. That is wrong on so many levels. But it's you not only did you see, there's a great video by Razorfist called Hollywood Was Always Red, and he even shows struggle sessions going on in the circles of the Hollywood elite. It is a very insidious, strange practice, but I just want to lay that on the table because of the things that we're going to be discussing. So let's just start off with I have one question for the chat. This is something I'd really like to know. Just put yes in the chat if you are in any way pursuing a creative endeavor, whether it be a comic book or a novel or a piece of music, something that you want to create and get out into the world. I would really like to know because if you are, then it is relevant to you. And, I've said this before. Oh, welcome, Alex Moore. Thank you for joining us. I was discussing this on the A Drink with Crazy live stream. I don't actually want Hollywood to create substandard work. I don't want them to fail. I want them to be successful and prosperous and create good stories, because I think that is paramount to our culture. And I also think it is it's good just economically. You want big companies doing well because that actually creates a prosperous environment for independent creators as well. A rising tide lifts all boats. But yeah, so let's start. Did anybody see Strange World? Did anyone bother?
No.
Nope. Doesn't look like anybody did, because Strange World, as we see by the thumbnail, apparently lost $148 million. And that's oh, hi, Stormy. Stormy the cat is here. Come on up. That is, you almost got to feel like that's deliberate. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Did you kind of watch that whole thing going down?
Yeah, I could see it coming because of the forced diversity and inclusion in a children's cartoon. If it's natural diversity, then that's fine. But when they start making it so it's the centerpiece of the property, then we got a problem.
Yeah, I think, and this is something also I think we should address really quickly. I'm sure, the Crusader Lion. Thank you for joining us. And thought I saw someone else. Did I see, we have Wolverine 626. Welcome to the show. Rest in peace, Clarence Gilliard Jr., the right hand of both Walker and Matlock.
And he was Theo in Die Hard.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, Theo.
Yes. I've always got to get the Stormy into the shot. Yeah. So first off, just a disclaimer, because I know there's a welcome, Joseph Dredd. There are going to be people who will automatically take something like this out of context and say that it's an attack on gay people, or it's an attack on people of a different race or a different religion or something like that. This is quite the opposite. I am very disheartened to see people being used as props, and then when things don't go well for the people using them as props, they're used as shields, just simply based on their sexuality, gender, race, or religious beliefs. These people do not care about any of that. They care about essentially what comes down to the cult. They believe in Stormy, you are hurting me. Ow. Fang in the thumb. That's enough. They believe in it's their side against everyone else, and whatever they can do to score points for their side in terms of just winning whatever argument is going on in their head, they will do it. So they'll turn it around in a second. And if you're on the wrong side, it's like they're all for women until women start saying, hey, we don't want men dressed as women in our space, and then suddenly women are the bad guys. They will turn on anybody. I am for people who are legitimately gay, and I say legitimately gay because, again, there are people that use gay as like a badge to wear, as a status symbol. They're not really gay, or they've convinced themselves they are, just to kind of grift on that bit of status, or bit of, if they think it makes their lives more interesting. I do know people who are legitimately gay. You would never know it. I mean, you might guess after a while of hanging out with them, but they're not stereotypes. They're obviously born that way. In my opinion, anyway, they were born that way. They are, that is the only way they know how to live, because it's just in their nature. And to see that being kind of worn as a status symbol, or used as a prop in marketing, it's just sickening to me. And just all the things going on with these different corporate entities in terms of our entertainment, or the way the people running our society, all this sort of thing. It's so cynical these days. And so that's the reason for the title of this video, this live stream, is we're on our own. These people do not want to help us. They do not want to take care of us. And they are not going to do anything but work to destroy the things that the people that came before them worked so hard to build and craft and make into something beautiful. These people are making our society ugly. They're being destructive. They're trying to get us to I bet Ethan. My honorary Oos, Joe's Atmosphere, is here. Welcome. There's a really great documentary. You can find it. I think it's on Vimeo. That's the video platform, Vimeo. But by the BBC, it was produced and hosted by the late Roger Scruton. It's called Why Beauty Matters. So we've got people who are just very cynically taking beauty out of our culture. They don't make beautiful things. The movies they make are not meaningful anymore. They're just essentially identity talking points. And I do want to talk about this idea of identity at the moment, because I think that all these things that are for identity, are supposedly for identity, are actually what is taking people's identity away. But we'll get into that. And they're getting us to segregate ourselves again through identity. They couldn't, since segregation was made illegal. They decided, well, if we can't legally enforce it, we'll just get to people to enforce it on themselves. So just money's involved, power is involved. These people are seeking power, and And Martin, if we could share a screen, of course, there's this. Was Disney caught in the FTX crypto scandal, and can Apple save them? Martin, are you there? He might have walked away. There's a message for you in the chat, by the way, John. I don't know if you saw it. Okay, so I think Martin stepped away for a moment, so he's.
I'm back.
Oh, you're back. Okay. Can you share my screen, please?
Of course.
Thank you very much.
Was
Was Disney caught in the FTX crypto scandal, and can Apple save them? Oh, and before we begin, I almost forgot. Of course, if you want to support me individually, the subscribestar.com/Christopher Moonlight, and I'm flubbing my words a lot today. I'm not feeling particularly well today, which is why I'm cranky. And I've got a few other fun things here. Of course, the Quantum Terror. And then we are soon going to be talking about some, well, I'll leave these tabs for now. But I want to talk about this. Did you hear about this, guys? Did you hear about, I think it was Midnight's Edge who originally broke that, essentially this is a theory, but that the real reason that Bob Chapek got gone and Bob Iger stepped in was because one of the other individuals, I forget her name, may have embroiled Disney in the whole FTX debacle and lost a lot of Disney's money. Did you guys follow this at all?
Nope.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting theory. So Martin, I'll probably explain it badly, and just for anyone in the chat who doesn't know what we're talking about, essentially, I forget the name of the woman, but she's kind of like the second to Bob Chapek, and she got, and again, this is all alleged. This is all theories that seem to have a lot of correlation. Slasher Fred says, I was reading that. I should have read it out loud. I'll redo it now. In the 1995 film Pocahontas, it shows you should not stereotype someone. You have these white settlers and these Native Americans. But anyway, yeah. So essentially, this woman went and put a lot of Disney's money into FTX. Now, FTX, if I'm understanding this correctly, isn't Bitcoin. It's its own cryptocurrency. Now, the difference between Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies is Bitcoin is decentralized. You can't mess with it. You can't hack it. You can, if you've got it in an online wallet, someone can hack the wallet and figure out a way to transfer it away from you, just like they can with any other money in a bank account or that sort of thing. But overall, it's got a unique code to it that is encoded to you unless you decide to trade it or sell it. And that code is decentralized through different points on the internet. So if any of those codes on any of those points don't line up, then it's useless to use. And that code is what makes it hack proof. FTX had their own cryptocurrency, which a lot of people are trying to create their own currency. And you might think of it like, frequent flyer miles or Marlboro bucks or, something like that. It's a currency that's only good within the system that they're doing. So FTX had this system, and it's, there is a lot of alleged goings on that I can't really talk about because it might get us demoted on YouTube with foreign countries and certain political parties. But essentially, Disney, allegedly, this woman put in theory, a lot of this Disney money into FTX, and then it got gone, which is a major amount of money. I'm not sure the exact amount, but to the point where maybe payrolls are not going to be made, like bad news. So as we know through, if you follow Midnight's Edge, the different Bobs, the two Bobs and other factors, Kathleen Kennedy, that sort of thing, they all have different outlets that will kind of shill for them, and they'll put propaganda pieces into those outlets. There's kind of been this Hollywood media propaganda war against each other. They keep kind of gaslighting each other and spreading rumors. And it came out supposedly, I think MSN reported on this, that Bob Chapek was ousted because he was moving money around. Like Disney Plus money was being allocated elsewhere, or different streaming or Disney channels money was being used for Disney Plus. So he was kind of doing some book cooking and moving funds around to make it look to the investors like things weren't as bad as they were. Well, the theory goes, well, that really, yes, that's if this all comes out, yeah, then she would be going to jail for embezzlement. So people are going, though, if that's true, if he's been moving money around to make the books look a little better to the investors, every Hollywood studio does that. And this woman would have been aware of that already. So why did she run to the investors and very quickly say, we need to get rid of him ASAP? So the theory is, because of this huge money loss and this accounting scandal, that the only way to cover it up is to sell the company to someone like Apple. So anyway, this is from Bleeding Fool, and I won't read the entire article, but here's a quote from it. "This doesn't make sense to me," says Pasha, who I think originally said this on Midnight's Edge. Miss McCarthy knew the numbers probably before Chapek knew the numbers. She was the one on the earnings call, and part of her job as CFO is to conceal or
counsel.
Excuse me. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, she thought it was to conceal.
Yeah, I'm practicing my accents, is what it is. The CEO as to how to present the numbers in a way that's palatable, so that you don't have a crisis in the stock price. And so she would have had conversations with Bob Chapek for some days before the earnings report. See, my brain just fills in words before I get to read them. Report was released. How do we message this on a call?
You're right. The first time it's massage.
It is. See, I'm having trouble today. The idea that I'm having trouble every day. The idea that she was shocked that he was calm on the call. That's what he's supposed to be. Yeah, absolutely. You don't get on a call and say, "Oh my God, it's all burning down." Is he supposed to be, "My God, I've ruined everything. We've ruined everything"? Is that the call he's going to do? No, he's not going to do that. So yeah, there's a lot of it seems that he's been thrown under the bus to cover their own butts. And, so basically used investors' money trying to gamble and get more. I think a while ago months ago, she announced that Disney was going to be going into crypto. So this wasn't even a secret. It wasn't, welcome, Dragon Ruse. It wasn't even, it just wasn't disclosed what they meant by going into crypto. So anyway, again, this just goes back to my point. We as creators, as creative people, as people who want to consume stories, that stories matter to. And this is a big deal. This is something that I think a lot of fans get mocked for. It's like, well, they're just movies. Why do we care about them? Mary Poppins. What was that in reference to? Mary Poppins? I've noticed how many horror stars have been in Disney movies, like Jodie Foster from The Silence of the Lambs was in Freaky Friday, and Elsa Manchester from Bride of Frankenstein was in Mary Poppins. Yes, she was. Small appearance. She was the nanny that quit at the beginning of the movie. And by the way, I do not agree with Milo Yiannopoulos' stupid statement that Mary Poppins is a satanic witch sent to destroy family values. That was an idiotic take. I don't know if anybody heard that as well.
Yeah, I heard it.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
it doesn't surprise me. He's an idiot.
But it wasn't just like that, but part of what he said, it has his merit, that, and that's something that I've been talking about with my family and friends. I don't like these stories involving magic, because I think the use of magic robs the human from growth through hardship. It's all snap your fingers and you have it. That is bullshit.
Yeah, but I think that in terms of Mary Poppins, if we just go off on an aside here, I really like Mary Poppins. I'm not a
Yes.
Oh, we
Thank
got
you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Mexican Iron Man. The CFO is hiding crap, and Iger is back to help cover up or sell assets to Band-Aid this company, while Iger and CFO fix the crap they created years ago, like the $3 billion SEC ACCTG fraud ongoing. See, now you guys, Mexican Iron Man, you guys are so good at breaking this down. You're so much better at it than I am. I'm looking at this from the perspective of a normie, and I do try and follow economics and understand economics, but it's, keeping up with the news and what people are doing. I'm so grateful for you guys because I watch you guys and I listen to you guys, and it's very useful information for me making decisions as an independent creator, how I'm going to move forward, which is also going to be what part of this live stream is about. So just to quickly wrap up the point about Mary Poppins, though, I have a different take on what Mary Poppins is. Mary Poppins is a story about a family who is estranged from one another. The kids are running wild because they want attention. They're not attended to by their parents. Mom is wrapped up in all the suffragette stuff, and dad is so wrapped up in his work that he never has time for the kids. They could make time for both. And you see Mary Poppins when she comes in, on the surface, it looks just like, she's taking the kids on a magical adventure. For me, when you really break it down metaphorically, it's essentially a story about a woman who comes in and teaches and pays attention to the kids and takes their imagination seriously and shows them how to properly play and imagine in a healthy way that isn't causing trouble. And then when she does, she opens up the parents to the fact that their children exist. She encourages their father to take them to work and understand what he does. Never does she say that what he does is bad, but he also opens the father up to their children. And it's only when there is kind of a catastrophic event because of the collision of all these different worlds coming together that they then have to put everything back together and understand each other and become a family unit. And once they do, once the parents understand the children and the children understand the parents and they're reconciled, they become a single unit, and Mary Poppins' job is done and she flies off. But to me, it was never about witchcraft or magic. It was about the power of imagination and showing that it's good to both be responsible, like the parents, although the wife is kind of, with the suffragette stuff, she's kind of made out to be a little goofy with that, but be responsible, but also not tyrannize yourself and allow yourself to imagine and to play, which is what we do here. This is what these movies, these stories are about. It's not so much magic in the terms of, snapping your fingers and something gets done. It's using our imagination to not only tell stories, but to better understand ourselves as artists, to better understand ourselves, and to also help the audience better understand themselves. So that was what I wanted to say about Mary Poppins. And Keith, welcome to the show.
Before we continue, let me pay our respect to Mexican Iron Man for his super chat with a little video.
For that, you get the head, the tail, the whole damn thing.
And thank you again, Mexican Iron Man. I am a fan. And again, the conversations you guys have are extremely useful to me. So I do want to say thanks. And Crusader Lion says, they say also that the way Twitter is changing also plays a role into this panic change of Chapek being the fall guy, basically that follow with the this crypto stuff and Disney panic. Yeah, I think it's going to take a little bit of time. There's so many elements at play here. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to see where the chips fall for the dust to clear. So I don't want to say I know anything for certain, but it's certainly interesting. And D-Bud Martin, Keith, D-Bud Martin, hope you're feeling better, Mexican Iron Man. Or are you not feeling better either? I've been feeling horrible today. I'm feeling a little better than this morning, but yeah.
I have something real quick I want to say about this whole FTX thing.
Please do, yes.
Did you all forget what happened over? I know it's been over 20 years, but did you forget what happened to Enron?
No.
They made there's a whole act that they made called the Sarbanes-Oxley Act.
Yep.
In 2001. And basically what Enron was doing the same thing that they're doing, the creative accounting, where they're moving stuff over to another account to make it look like to the investors that they're not losing money. It's the exact same thing that Enron did, or that Disney's done with moving stuff. When Chapek moved stuff over to the Disney channel, say no, it's our ESPN budget, when they're switching stuff off different budgets. That's the same thing that Enron did. The same thing.
Well, now let's at least understand something. Chapek couldn't do anything with the money without the chief financial officer knowing. And that is the person who is supposedly telling the media and others that he's done something goofy. That's the reason why Cameron and others are saying, anybody with any real financial experience is saying, that's what sounds fishy about this story about Chapek being the one accused of financial misfeasance, because the chief financial officer would have to have been involved. Cameron's theory going the other way, that Chapek was released because, because of the shortfall with the money, because the money had been invested in a way that even probably Chapek wouldn't be aware of, and to get rid of him before they could fix it sounds a lot more plausible to me. Again, there's a lot of people out there who have been convinced that Chapek is somehow woke and all that. Look, what you need to know is this, okay? It looks like Iger has come back. And in terms of the meeting that they held yesterday that Iger was a part of, it's looking more and more like what Cameron Pasha said and has been saying is true. That it's looking more and more like Iger is going to come back and somehow sort of shrug his shoulders and say, hey, we got a plan in place to fix this, and I can't undo it. Looks like certain things are just going to happen because, notice, Chapek's gone. His right-hand man is gone. But the guy who he brought in, the lawyer, to facilitate all of this stuff, is still there.
Yep.
Yeah, this is going down. There are going to be people that are going to be losing their jobs.
Lots of people, and a lot of people who don't particularly deserve to lose their jobs either. Because it's never the people, they're always, unless things really heat up and get laid out and revealed, there's always going to be the people that get their golden parachutes, and the people who really have been working to create something good, which are few and far between now, are the ones that suffer for it. And this is kind of, I don't want to get too off track, but the point of what I wanted to talk about today is essentially, these people are crazy. They're crazy. They're greedy. They believe that the only way to exist is to gather all the power around them. That I kind of have, there's the saying power corrupts, but I actually think more importantly, it's power corrupts sometimes. Other people can handle power, but power will always attract corrupt people. And that's what has happened. And that's kind of, Star Wars, Pixar, Lucasfilms, Industrial Light and Magic, all these great things that we know and love. Indiana Jones, Star Wars, the Alien franchise, in my case, I'm a huge fan of that. James Cameron with Terminator, and all of these things they were all built by people from the ground up, more or less. Their power, the power of the stories that we love and that matter to us, were built up from grassroots. And now that they have achieved what they have, other people, and this is, you know what? It's funny. It was my daughter's birthday over the weekend. And our HOA has a little room that you can rent out. Not rent, you don't have to pay for it, but you can reserve. So we laid out tables and you know, got them cake and sweets and fruit and that sort of thing. And we don't have a lot of money at the moment, but we made a really nice setup for her and her friends, and they had a fun time. And then they all went out to play as the party was winding down, and all the flies started landing. And I said to my wife, the sweetness, the flies have finally discovered the sweetness and are making their move. And then I wasn't trying to be ironic or anything, and suddenly it popped in my head. That's exactly what's happened. We've had our tours create these wonderful, sweet things that matter to us, and now the flies have discovered, and they're everywhere, and they're consuming and they're destroying. We don't want to consume things that flies are on top of, and you know, so the same thing is happening within our corporations and government and media. These are all things, they're all congealing together into one entity that just wants to keep transferring the power, whether that be financial or media power or whatever, up to themselves away from us. There is nobody, I mean, there are a few people, you know, you can arguably talk about Elon Musk or a few choice politicians that I don't want to mention because I don't want to get into that. But for the most part, we are on our own in terms of being creative. So I do want to talk about what I think, you know, and this is not ideal, but we are going to have to figure out how to operate outside this system or under the radar of this system and start to build things again from the grassroots and the ground up. Because that's the only way we're going to get rid of all of this, because these people are not going to stop until everything's destroyed. They're just not.
And I agree. You know, that's the reason why when you have certain creative endeavors and companies that have quote unquote flown under the radar for right now, that is the future of things. Again, as I've said often on Pop Culture Minefield, you know, one of my major things against Walter Hamada when he was in charge of DC film was that for a man who wanted to have more people of color and more women be central to a lot of the stories he was telling, every opportunity to do that, real opportunity to do that, he decided to instead do something that was just a little harder, a little difficult to do, rather than adapting something that was ready-made to go. For instance, you wanted, you know, if he had come in maybe a year or two before he actually did, would he have actually greenlit Wonder Woman? Because that's a no-brainer. You know, I mean, it was a no-brainer that DC was eventually going to make a Wonder Woman movie. And it's one of the biggest regrets that Kevin Feige has was that they weren't able to beat DC to the punch in providing a big comic book movie with a female lead.
Well, they could have done it in phase one, but they didn't.
No, they didn't, because the person that actually was running everything had a very not very PC way of making a point. Okay, you got to remember that even though Kevin Feige is running everything now, he has redirected power unto himself, which is one of the major reasons why he's not why the quality, in my opinion, has gone down for everything that they're doing.
Well, that's a very good point. And before we keep going, I just want to greet my honorary Oos. Welcome to the show, Joe's Atmosphere.
I got called into work today, but the subject matter, I had to jump in here for a little bit before I leave. That's I love what you're talking about. And I'm sitting here typing a bunch of names to put in the chat. Chris, you Eric July, Ethan Van Shriver, Mandy Summers, they're all trying to start their own thing because of what these guys are destroying, basically. And you guys are the inspiration for me doing what I'm doing, you know.
What
and
are you doing?
It's going to take a while. It'll turn around, you know, but this don't think for a minute that two factors triggered them turning Chapek into a scapegoat, because that's all he is, a scapegoat.
Yep.
I just got to close the door.
Two things were major triggers to that happening, and that's the the TFX collapse, or FTX collapse. I'm sorry, and exactly, and Wakanda Forever bombing the way it did. So they were counting on that movie to make a bunch of money, and it's not.
I think they're counting on Avatar 2 also.
And boy, are they going to be disappointed in that.
Yeah.
Also, you also have to understand there's another major film coming out this holiday season that could be very disruptive to what Avatar is trying to accomplish, and that is Puss in Boots.
Yeah.
But what I was saying originally is that the person who was directly responsible for slow walking Marvel's way forward originally was Ike Perlmutter. Now, I don't like the way that he put this. A lot of his opinions on certain things suck. But I also at least have to be honest enough to say, while I didn't like the way he said things, there is a small amount of truth in what he was saying. Okay? It was not very PC how he put it. And Kevin Feige used that to basically cut Perlmutter out of the power structure a little bit. Perlmutter is still there. He is still the guy for whom everything is underneath him. But Kevin Feige is the major power guy. He is effectively running Marvel Entertainment. Not just Marvel Studios.
Yeah.
You said something here that I really want to kind of address, because it's a huge weapon in their arsenal, and it's not just affecting their power struggle. It's the wrecking ball they're using against each other that's destroying everything.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this goes to, corporations, media, and politics. So before I say it, I want to say welcome to Peter Venkman Fan Site and Code Raven. Thank you. Kingsport Cal says people don't care about theaters anymore. Just stream it. Well, before we go on,
that's not everybody.
That's not everybody. And Zaslav has already stated and proven that has got to be the dumbest thing that anybody can do right now. Well, if you want to lose your company, continue to
Top Gun Maverick did just fine.
Yeah, I think people do want
to
go to the theaters.
People want to go see, and they will go see it.
Yep.
If you build it, they will come.
I'm reticent to put any money on Puss in Boots, though, because I was looking at that going, man, the animation on that looks like they're direct to DVD, or, well, I'm showing my age there. The direct to streaming stuff. It's not the quality of the Shrek movies.
Sure. And that's about the quality that you could expect with a lot of the stuff that Disney ended up streaming.
Also a trailer. It may not be polished either.
Well, it's still just a trailer. I would expect more, but
Hocus Pocus 2 looked like it was something that was pretty much direct. It didn't have all of the polish that a big screen version, the original version, had. It had some problems.
Well, this is again going to the point I wanted to touch on is essentially, you talked about people saying things that aren't that PC. This is the big problem that I have at the moment. Is the quality of the content is deteriorating because they are trying to act essentially like creative endeavors are somehow created by your skin color, your gender, your sexual preference, your your religion, and it's like none of those things make art. And what the big problem I have with it is essentially what we're trying to do, not what we're trying to do, but what they're trying to do is have people break themselves down and segregate based on these just essentially, what would you call them? They're not identities because they're actually antithetical to identity. What you're doing is you're getting people to say, I am my race, sexuality, gender.
Well, they're basically putting people in boxes.
Yeah,
they are segregating and placing everyone inside of these little tiny boxes to make what easier on us.
Well, essentially,
to
it's so
divide and conquer, gentlemen. Don't be.
Not just divide and conquer, but label.
That's what they're doing.
Label so they don't have to think of you as a human being.
Yeah.
They think of you as a demographic to extract money from. But the problem is that you don't create art that way. And so what's happening is you're getting all of these products. They're not art, they're products like Strange World, and people don't want them because they see it. They essentially are creating art that is devoid of any soul, and
creating product that is devoid of soul.
Consume next product. Don't ask questions. Consume next product.
And this is why, and I think because the phrase "politics is downstream from culture." If you control it, they want to control the culture, but they don't understand it, so they're destroying it. But they don't mind that they're destroying it because their goal is not to control the culture. Their goal is to obliterate it.
Hey, police in the house.
All right. But before I read that, let me finish my point. Because if you destroy culture, if you destroy any autonomy, then essentially we lose our agency and they are in complete control. And that is the goal, is to make us deny our individuality, deny our individual person in favor of these labels so that we can just, like Keith said, fit in that box, consume product, and they can continue to extract what they want from us. And have all the things for themselves that they tell us we shouldn't have. Like, proper food or small businesses or anything like that. So can we go back to Polly's comment? I wanted to read it. So Polly, thank you very much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you here. He says you also have to support it so people know it's out. Devotion example. Incredible war drama for all. Big on friendship and loyalty. Incredible film. Studio did not back it up. Not woke enough. I only heard of that yesterday, and that's because of word of mouth. People are saying no. And this, God bless you, Polly, for saying this, because this is something that I will shout to the heavens. We have to start focusing our attention away from these things, no matter how they bait us, outrage bait us, no matter how how big they make it, what celebrities they say they have, or the promises they keep making. Because essentially they laugh at this, like Lucy with the football. They don't care if we hate it. They don't care if we complain about it. All they care about is if we keep looking at this, waiting for the next thing that they do. They have our attention. We have to divert our eyes away and start turning our attention to things that we think are good. So yes, Polly, thank you so much for saying that, because that was a point.
And also be vigilant and watch what they're doing. Also do that.
Always criticize, but you can criticize you can criticize from afar. You can look at it, you can look at the trailer and go, yeah, I don't know.
I'm kind of busy. I'm going to see Devotion, but yeah, that guy's a schmuck. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Good cast though for that movie.
So thank you, Paulie. I'm assuming he forgave me for my comments about Zack Snyder, which were not negative comments. I meant that in a positive way. Wolverine 626 says, I go to the movie theaters for movies like John Wick, movies like Top Gun. I wait for streaming services. And I will say this, I love the streaming services for what they provide. There's a lot of old school great stuff. Last night I didn't finish it because I was getting too tired, but I'm going to finish it tonight. I was having a great time watching The Sword and the Sorcerer, just this like low budget 80s barbarian movie.
Yeah.
That everyone kind of bagged on.
Wow.
It is excellent. I am having so much fun with that movie. It's got everything I love. It's got action, barbarians, weird mutant sorcerers, beautiful women. It's like I'm having such a great time. A sword with 3 blades that shoots blades out at your enemies. Come on. How can you go wrong with that? Slasher Fred said, if you ever watch the holiday film Santa Claus is Coming to Town, the villain decides that no child should have a toy. I have not seen that one, but yeah.
Rankin and Bass, you probably have. If you've watched any of the holiday animated films that Rankin and Bass have shown on television.
Sorry. I was thinking it was like some new thing. Yes, of course. No. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Barclay says, isn't Glass Onion out soon on Netflix? I mean, I know it's already out at cinemas. I just can't do any Brian Johnson stuff. Sorry.
I think they put it in theaters for like 1 week at Thanksgiving or something like that.
No. They put it on Netflix for 1 week.
Is that what it was? Okay, and now it's in theaters. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
So if you've missed it, you're gonna have to wait.
But to the people that think theaters are dead, look. There was somebody that said they could wait to see Top Gun on streaming. Guys, I don't care how good your home theater is. It does not give you the experience of seeing Top Gun on a big screen.
Nope.
That's one of those movies that I would recommend seeing in IMAX even. I'm
or 4DX.
Yeah, it's
4DX.
Unbelievable, the visuals in that movie, because it's not CGI. These are real planes doing real shit.
One of the actors from Devotion is a major actor in that film.
Yeah, he's the Iceman of the new film.
Glenn Powell.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now,
go ahead.
I was going to say about Top Gun the same thing I said in the chat. The photography of the movie, it's designed for big screen.
Yeah.
There are so many physical reactions that you only get if you are seeing it on a big screen.
Mm-hmm.
The vertigo and the
this
wide
is
angles.
a great point, Martin, because it's people have also kind of just see stories now. Again, this is just the lack of talent, and I'm not saying that there isn't talent in the industry right now, but it's not being allowed to shine, and it's being supplanted by just garbage. Is
call it what it is. Don't be afraid. It's social politics, is what it is.
Well, not just that, but I mean, just a genuine lack of talent. People who were put into jobs that they have no idea even the mechanics of how creating works.
Rings of power.
Yeah. Oh, please. Yes.
And you just get essentially, it's like, oh yeah, you just point the camera at the actor, right? That's what you do. They don't know about editing. They don't know about cinematography. I mean, like I said, there are some that do in the what I would call the film school basics way, the technical way, but they're not being imaginative. And so, you don't have any reason to want to go and see it on the big screen unless it's something like Top Gun, where Tom Cruise, probably the last movie star, actually cares and wants to put time into it. Or, again, God bless Henry Cavill, who also seems to care about what he's in.
Or Keanu Reeves.
Yeah,
Keanu Reeves.
There's a few of them. Yeah.
Essentially, because, and this is something I'm going to kind of go into the next phase of what I wanted to talk about. This is Pop Culture Minefield Morning Coffee with Chris, phase 4. Is what do we do to reclaim, again, like I said, beauty matters, like the Roger Scruton documentary, and I really do recommend that. Because the technology, I want to show you something here. Because Escape from Planet Omega 12, like I said, it's going into production, and here is one of the technologies we're going to be using. This is, let's see, let's bring it up here. My animated characters are literally going to be animated, not 100%, but they're literally going to be animated by just putting a someone in front of the screen and having them act out the motions, and the AI is going to just look at that motion and make my animated character do it. That is the level to which the technology is getting to. Soon, this stuff is going to be 100% effortless. And then if it, it's the idea, if anybody can do it, then why is it special anymore? And the answer to that is it's going to come down to true imagination and artistry again. Go ahead, Keith.
I was going to say, really, as of right now, you could recreate Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and the only thing you would really need is enough money to afford all of the stunt people. Outside of that, you could recreate that entire movie using all of the same visual effects techniques, computer programs, everything. In fact, all of the major visual effects that moved studio films forward technologically wise, just about all of it is now available for you. And you can recreate visual effects from The Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, from even, young Sherlock Holmes.
Wow.
You can recreate all of that stuff now.
For free.
Yeah. And so if you know what you're doing and you know how to plan it out, like they did with, in a certain way, like the original Stargate. The biggest thing about the original Stargate is that compared to a lot of other studio movies, Stargate was a really cheap film. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those films that nobody saw coming until it came out. And it even beat the Star Trek film that came out that year. And as far as the amount of money that it made,
and some of the effects, I love some of the effects. Some of the effects were literally miniatures on set, just using forced perspective.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't even afford to make a new moon. They had to steal Earth's moon and just double it twice.
Yeah.
The Stargate was literally stirred water, and I thought it looked brilliant.
Yeah.
I think the most money they spent on one thing was just getting Jay Davidson from The Crying Game to be the villain. Jay Davidson.
But it's a great movie. It is a fantastic movie. I never watched the series, but man, I will watch Stargate. It's one of those drop the remote shows. If I see it on, if I'm going through my guide and it's on, I drop the remote.
So you spend your time on a script. Yeah. Just spend your time working the script.
I was going to say
stuff is good.
I was going to say what Chris an analogy for Chris's point is this. Look, I'll give you a sports perspective. In the National Football League, which I love, all the athletes at that level are pretty much equal. They're all pretty much on the same level. There's only a few that really stand out above the rest. Well, what makes a team great in that atmosphere? It is the organization from the top down, doing the right things, paying attention to the details. And that's why you get a regime like Bob Kraft and the Patriots, and the family that owns the Chiefs right now. And the Steelers have been good for decades because of that family that runs that place. They get quality people. They get people that know what they're doing. And that's what these guys have got to get back to and quit shoving people in boxes. It's just, it diminishes everything.
And I'll
get
say
some
this
people
too,
that know what they're doing. And what you're talking about the tech, I would have never done this unless my daughter had shown me Procreate on an iPad, because I would be so afraid to put ink on my pencil work and screw it up. Now I've got the technology to screw it up all day long and fix it right away. Super easy.
and
you know,
adjust it and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I
So
will say this as well.
imagination with the tech, we're going to do fine. It's going to take some time, but we're going to do fine.
Well, there are people who are against the technology because they think it's going to replace humans. I will say this: there has never been a technology that didn't need good, talented, creative humans to look at it and say, how do we utilize this in ways that no one would think of? And that's really where I think that I'm all for all of this technology. And I also want
Me too. You got to have people behind it, because if somebody says, "Oh, I'm afraid it's going to replace people," really, go watch the prequels that Lucas made. They're not the greatest movies in the world because they're mostly nothing but computer animation, and there's barely any people in them, and that's why a lot of people didn't like them when they came out.
And you know what? I've said this before on other shows, and I will continue to put this forward. If you want to see something truly original, if you want to know who you're actually competing against, if you really wanted to do something original, it's everybody on the Dust channel on YouTube.
I've been enjoying that, yeah. But I actually want to speak to Joe, your comment about the prequels. That's actually not true. The prequels have more miniature effects in each movie than the original the original trilogy combined. There is a lot of computer effects in there, but they were also pioneering. So, but I'm a big fan of the prequels.
My point is, you can. I mean, that second one, man, the Attack of the Clones. It was a CGI nightmare, and it was, in my opinion, a bad movie. And the only one I can really rewatch is the third one. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do a prequel show one day, so we can really talk about this. But I want to talk about now. This is the Midjourney Facebook group. That looks cool as hell.
Look at this on the set of 1980. This is the prompt on the set of 1984 secret collaboration movie between Jim Henson Studios and H.R. Giger.
Wow,
all AI.
Well. I have something to say about the use of this AI generated. It's because when you give the AI some parameters. I want something like something like that, something like A mixed with B and blah 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 blah, and you basically end up is picking the result of a algorithmically created art. Is I don't know. Okay, I'm not saying that the image are not worthy. What I'm saying is that the imagination is,
but
too.
We're driven by algorithms. That's what thought process is.
Yeah, no.
Your brain goes through a checklist of stuff, even as you create.
But with this thing, we are relinquish what little imagination is left.
I'll tell you a little bit of my thoughts about AI, which is, if you look at this stuff, it looks great. But if you look at it in terms of how can I use this, it's only a starting off point. You can't, look at that. You can't use that in a movie. There's obviously things, and this is funny. This is the people of LV426 put aside their differences and finally finished the album. So
that's awesome.
This is
wow.
It looks great, but again, it's a jumping off point. We as human beings still have to go, okay, this is cool. What do we do with it?
Yeah, it's a tool.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
It's not going to replace anybody. But again, it's got some cool ideas here. Maybe Jodorowsky's Dune.
Yes. This film would have been something. I still personally believe that someone could take that script and all those storyboards and using technology like this, be
Was
able
that
to
the
make
same
movie.
actor that was in Dune? I just saw there.
Maybe the computer put it
Go
together.
back. Go back. That guy right there. It sure looks like him. Looks like the Mentat from Dune.
Now, here's the thing, John,
No.
to your point, the thing about the Midjourney stuff is it reminds me a lot of, I don't know if other people dream like this, but this is what my dreams are like. I mean, not specifically this, but it's this weird merging of things. And then you realize that some of the things you're trying to look at don't make sense.
That
because
looked like, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That last image before this one. This guy looks like Peter Capaldi. But, okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Some of the things that these come up with, it looks, you should see, what is it? Somebody did Life Aquatic meets Alien.
Wow.
Yeah, I just clicked onto one that had, they used this for storyboards for, let's see what movie. It was storyboards for Skyfall. And, wow.
I mean, this here looks great, but you can't use it. I mean, you might use it as like a background piece or something like that, and that's fine. But again, it's a starting off point, and it is taking essentially just like dreams. It's taking all these different images from the internet, just like our brains throughout the day gather things, and it melds them together in this kind of weird algorithmic dream. And just like with dreams, you wake up from them, you go, that was weird, maybe I can take a little bit of that. Here's Jodorowsky's Tron.
Wow.
I mean, it's taking all of these human created things. Now there will be issues with that. At a certain point, I think artists are going to start going, hey, if you want to feed my art into the algorithm, maybe we need to make an arrangement. But again, it's, the whole idea of, what is it? Making 7 changes to something. You can't copyright your style. So this is just something that we're going to have to adjust to. And I think you can't fight it. So you might as well figure out how you can use it to your advantage, because I'm telling you, somebody else is. But my point of telling you guys about this stuff, and talking about AI and talking about, I won't click on everything, and talking about, again, you can just record a video and make your moves and then have your character do it. These are all tools that are available to us. This is free. You can do a paid version, which gets you more. And Midjourney is free.
Always. All these apps are like that.
Yeah, and that's fine. And a lot of it it's worth it. It's cheap. Here's Life Aquatic meets Alien. Somehow this managed to be a combination of Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery from Whose Line Is It Anyway instead of Bill Murray, but they did get James Cameron in the background. Now, honestly, again, you can be resistant, but it's not going to help you as a creator. Yeah. Having all these tools at our disposal, and Blender being another one, open source 3D technology that I'm also using for my movie. There's another one for After Effects. You can get a rigging tool called Duik, which is open source as well. Ironically created by communists that say they're seizing the means of production. I'm like, no, you're competing with the means of production. It's great. Be competitive, but we have all these tools. Eventually the playing field is going to be completely leveled. The little guys like us versus the big corporation. And the only things that will matter, the only things that'll come down to are creativity. Exactly, Keith. What's going on up here? And essentially we have to also kind of shift the zeitgeist into getting people to realize that it's okay to consume entertainment that is not corporate made. It's okay to go to the independent sources, because what we've got at the moment, and Joe, I'm going to make an analogy here that you're gonna like. What they have control over right now in terms of the zeitgeist is, again, using identity politics to shame people, to keep them in the cult, to ostracize those who don't agree, to have everyone in the same struggle sessions so that they don't break away and come to independent creators like us, because people want to belong and they're afraid of being ostracized. And I was watching last night WWE, Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn is, I think people love him so much right now because not only is he funny, and I know not everyone here knows what I'm talking about, but Joe
With
does.
Cody being gone, he is the biggest baby face in WWE right now. Yes.
Yeah, but the thing is that he's a combo of babyface heel in the sense that he's
running with the bad guys. Yeah.
But he's doing the wrong thing because he's just a guy who so desperately and naively wants to belong, and he's not comfortable being an outsider or breaking away, and he wants to please people, and that's what these corporations are preying on at the moment, is just, you want to be a good person, you don't want to be on the wrong side of history.
Let me interject real quick because I gotta go. Listen to what Chris is saying. Unplug from the mass media and start looking at these independents, guys, because trust me, there's good stuff out there. The shame is you've got to go look for it. Okay, so just go look for it because it's out there, man. There's plenty of guys making it, and Chris is one of them. There's several others, but you got to unplug. You got to unplug from the crap they're feeding you. Look, I got to go, guys. Take care of yourselves.
You too. Thank you so much.
Bye, Joe.
Yep.
Bye, Joe.
Now, Chris.
Yes, sir.
About all this diatribe about CGI art, and what this is going eventually to end. No, the artists will disappear. Artists, not disappear. They no longer will be creators, makers. They will be descriptors. An artist you will be hired for your ability to describe the product that you want to a piece of software.
Well, there's a few things. Few reasons why I don't think that'll be the case. One is essentially art is a cleanser of the mind and the soul, and you simply just cannot continue to exist off of what a computer will generate on its own. There always has to be a human component to it, or else the audience will feel it. It's intuitive. There's not, and if you look at all the Mid-Journey stuff, as cool as it is, it all looks, as soon as you see it, it all looks like AI generated art. There is something about the human touch. Now we will use it, and you're right, there will be scripting going on, but there will always be an element of human beings going in and manually messing with it, or just going, you know what, I can create that better on my own. And there's a joke going on in terms of freelance artists. AI will never replace an artist because clients would first have to learn how to actually tell AI what they want. And being an artist and working with a client is
what I'm saying. The artist only will become an interpreter between the client and the software.
Yeah, but we already are in terms of when we're working for clients. We have to interpret what they want.
The artist won't have anymore the ability to draw, just the ability to describe. To interpret
I don't
and
think
describe.
so, because AI exists on what.
No, I'm not talking about the next 10 years. No, I'm talking about a huge amount of time.
Well, things will change, but human beings will find ways to change with it, because human beings do not want to be replaced. But essentially, what we do eventually does get replaced. I mean, the horse and buggy replaced the car. The airplane replaced the hot air balloon. The photograph replaced portrait painters, because portrait painting was a career back before the camera, because people did want, memories of who they were at a certain time, the camera did replace that, but it didn't eliminate painting. It just caused artists to start to go, okay, what can we do that a camera can't? And then you got Impressionism, and you got all these different art styles. Some of them, people don't always mesh with people's ideology or taste, but even when art went through something ugly that we didn't like, it still created a reaction. Just like, the Beatles really kind of broke the mold for what music categories were, and did everything and caused people to experiment. But then you got weird stuff like the singer-songwriter and disco, which, people enjoyed, but other people are going like, I don't want none of that. And so they created punk music, which turned into, and then the technology of synthesizers and computers got us like 80s synthwave. And then that caused a reaction that rejected that, and we got grunge. Whatever happens, there will always be a reaction. There will always be a human component. And yes, some of it will lead to people creating lazy art, but it'll always look like one of two things: exactly that, lazy art, or it'll look like what everything else that a computer spits out. I mean, already I'm seeing it. People are AI generating their promotional movie posters. And people are looking at it going, it's saying the exact same thing. Oh, well, I mean, that looks like an AI generated poster. I still want a poster that actually looks like a movie poster, because everyone knows that you can do AI. So it's just a starting point. I have no fear about this replacing the creative edge. It's just going to change how we create. And the people who do the best at it will be the ones that use it as a starting point, but not relying on it. CG rotoscoping. Oh my God. Anybody who does visual effects will know that rotoscoping is a horror for visual effects artists. Now, rotoscoping, I mean in the terms of like cutting out an artist or cutting out an actor if there's no green screen behind them. Now, rotoscoping, I think what Jeebus was saying, is more of like what the Fleischer brothers did and then Disney did, which is to have actors play in front of a camera and then use cell animation. Or Fire and Ice is the Bakshi Frazetta Fire and Ice is very famous for rotoscoping. Same thing, this just removes essentially an element of, and again, the product that what we're watching play out right now spits out is a very exact capture of what a actor will do. But an artist will go in and look at that and go, okay, and this is what I'm going to be doing too with the technology. Okay, it did a lot of the heavy lifting for me. I don't have to figure out all the movement of that character for this scene. But what the computer doesn't do is it doesn't then understand what you as an artist, how you want to see that move a little different, exaggerate the motions, make them a little more expressive in ways that actors don't do, which is why we go to animation, because animation can be expressive in ways that actors just can't do. And if we did have them do it, if we use CGI to make the actors do something a cartoon would do, it'd take the audience out of the experience. That's why we go to different mediums, different, stop motion, CGI, hand-drawn animation, all the way into comic books and novels, is because each has a strength that we can get away with things in our storytelling that otherwise would be jarring in a particular medium. So yeah, I'm not worried about it at all. I think these tools are what we have to use if we're going to be able to compete with the big guys. But look at that. If I can do this, if I can get this dancing girl, or if I can get my characters moving with this amount of detail in a short amount of time on a almost zero budget, where Disney and Pixar are spending literally hundreds of millions of dollars to create something that then flops. Well, I can't compete with that unless I go with this. And audiences, there's only so much low budget stuff they're going to tolerate or they're going to forgive if they can get something better for just as much, because everything's free on video on demand as well. So, I'm using these tools. I'm not worried about it, because we just can't, if we stay in one place, if we're too conservative about it, then we're never going to, we're just going to sit here and kind of go, look at the past and go, wasn't that cool? When we could be taking things from the past and applying these new tools from them, or lessons from the past, because I'm, I don't need another Star Wars movie. I don't need another Marvel movie. I don't need another almost any of it. I just can't. I can't anymore. And I don't begrudge anyone else's excitement for it, but I just feel Strange World. I looked at the trailer and went, I thought it was a sci-fi thing. Apparently it's not. It's some civilization on the back of a turtle or something like that. I would have been really excited.
Spoilers.
What's that?
Spoilers.
Yeah. Like nobody's going to see that movie. I don't think anyone cares. But anyway, essentially it just comes down to this. Again, I'll reiterate. These corporations, they don't care about the material. They don't care about us. They don't care about the destruction they cause either. I'm not just talking about to the art form, but to our economy, to our freedom. They're constantly selling us out for, to different governments that I will not name, that cause human rights violations and atrocities just to make another buck. They don't care, and they will keep destroying. And the only recourse, unfortunately, again, I would much rather that they, come to their senses and be like the old days of Disney. But we're on, like I said, the title says we're on our own. I don't want to be on my own, but there's no one coming to our rescue. So we have to figure out what we can do for ourselves. And the tools are out there. The support is out there. The wonderful people in the chat are supportive. This is what I feel. And it's not a pretty picture. Sometimes it makes me feel sad. I do feel very sad about this. I would love to go back to the 80s and 90s where I was just, enjoying the culture and everyone seemed to be getting along. But the internet did two things. It made it so we could communicate across the globe and come up with wonderful things together and have these discussions, because unless I'm unaware of it, none of you guys are actually in the room here with me. You're all in different parts of the country. And
I am. You just can't see me.
Oh man.
So am I.
Touching me down there. Anyway, but the other thing is too, is it woke us up to something which is distressing, which is, how do I say this without sounding cruel? I'm not even going to try. It woke us up to how many people around us are not thinking. I don't want to say stupid, just not thinking, or insane. There are a lot more insane people in the world than I think we realize. And before we were comfortable in our ignorance of that, but now Twitter and all these social media platforms have exposed them as unhinged and deranged. And the fact that they all kind of are in on us being woken up to this, it just caused them to become more unhinged. So we have people who are just throwing temper tantrums. And I got called a something that rhymes with ashist for pointing out that I thought that burning books and vandalizing art was wrong and similar to a certain German party back in the 30s and 40s that nobody likes. And I got accused of being that for saying, hey, we shouldn't burn books. We shouldn't vandalize works of art. We shouldn't throw temper tantrums every time we don't get our way. We should maybe just try and learn to assess a situation and try and apply some logic to it and try and come up with solutions like rational people. So yeah, we've been woken up to this idea that there, we are surrounded by people who are not thinking, who have freely given up their autonomy and their agency in favor of these insane, greedy, corrupt people in our media, our government, and our art, our entertainment, who just want to destroy and hurt us so they can take what we have and transfer it and accumulate it to themselves. And, again, they're never going to stop. They're never going to see reason. They don't care about the destruction they're doing. And so our only recourse is to build something new. I don't even want to say fight back, because they have the ability to fight us, but they can't fight what we create. They can't fight what we build. If you water a tree, it's going to outgrow the weeds. They're the weeds, but we're giving them all our water in favor of what we could be growing for ourselves. So that is all I'm going to say. Gentlemen, I will leave you to some comments. Maybe there's some comments in the chat, or if you guys want to add something to this, but I'm spent and I got to get going soon. So thank you for indulging this very special episode of Pop Culture Minefield. Thank you. Gentlemen, any comments?
I think you pretty much just covered it. I mean, just stay aware, stay enthused, and be looking for others out there like yourself who are creating their own thing. Again, for me, I enjoy everything that you were saying. I enjoy all of the original creators that are out there trying to get something done. Again, check out the Dust channel on YouTube.
It's beautiful. Yes, Keith is right.
If you want to see something original and you want to see possibly some future creators who could end up doing something original, your best bet for right now is just checking out as much original content as possible and checking out what Christopher has and checking out what many of the content creators on the Dust channel on YouTube. That'll be able to do a few things for you. My only big thing is I'm pushing the comic Klaus right now, which is from Boom Studios. I want to shout out to that because
it looks great too. Yeah, you sent me those links.
I look. I want to say I think I read one of the original stories before, and so I'm really excited that they are putting the whole thing in a hardcover that you can actually enjoy and have a lot of fun with. But between Grant Morrison and Dan Mora, those guys have created something that is amazing. So between that and the other title that they have going on called Once and Future, that's some original stuff there. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
So,
and also, the crowdfunder creators, we had Chuck Dixon on last week talking about his first kill with your boy Zach and the Critical Drinker, and of course Sylvester Stallone, who seems to be another celebrity who still cares about their content. I think keep checking this stuff out. If you see something, it doesn't cost you anything to retweet it or to share it on Facebook. I do that all the time for stuff that I think looks good. Iron Age Media as well. ironage.media is a website to check out. So, all right. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up unless somebody has. Go ahead, John.
I have a comment.
Go, John.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
Okay.
I got to say, I was a bad little boy and Santa took a crap down my chimney. Go ahead, Keith.
One last thing. Will you be posting links to a lot of this original material that you had talked about as far as the programs and stuff that people can use for free?
I will do that. I actually will be posting it on Twitter. I think if I post it, if I post it now, if you go on Twitter at SciExploitation. So on Twitter, I am C Moonlight Films, but I also have at SciExploitation. I'm going to be talking about these programs on that Twitter because that's what we're using to make Escape from Planet Omega 12. It's a SciExploitation film. And of course, I will be talking a lot about it on my Subscribe Star. I will be, by the way, guys, if you can't afford to chip in any money to Subscribe Star, that's okay. I do post free content on there. So I think there's a way to follow me for free on there. So some of my posts are hidden, but some of my posts, I do talk about this stuff. So you can, again, support me on there. Even if you're not giving a donation, you can support me just by being a non-subscriber, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong if you go there and you have any problems with it, but follow me on SciExploitation. I will be posting about all the different technologies that we're using, all the different ways we're making, because we're combining a lot of this stuff, Blender, the Plask, Duick, AI. We're going to be combining it together with practical effects, because I'm a big practical effects fan, miniature sets, miniature spaceships and puppets. It's all going to be combined into one style. So it's not going to, again, to allay Martin's fears, it won't be just a AI generated movie. There is a lot of artistry to this, so I'm very proud of that. But yes, Keith, thank you. So, all right, let's thank everyone in the chat for listening to me insanely ramble about my, ignoring these weird doomsday cultists who want to take over the world and make us all subservient to them and eat bugs and all that stuff. So, my neighbor on the moon, Scribe Light, he joins me on my live streams on my Christopher Moonlight Production channel a lot. So, thank you for joining me, Scribe, Penny. Now it's time for another Penny cartoon. D-Bud Martin, Krampus Jeebus, who made some very good points today. Anima Confusa, who my shrine to is just off screen. It's not scary. Slasher Fred, Alex Moore, the Crusader Lion, Wolverine 626, Joseph Dredd, Joe's Atmosphere, my honorary Oos, Dragon Ruse, and Mexican Iron Man. Really kind of fanning out a little that Mexican Iron Man dropped by, as well as Latino Slant. Polly, thank you for dropping by. I know we don't agree on Zack Snyder exactly, but I still like him and I still love you. King's Porcal, Dragon Bricks, Peter Vakeman fan site. I love that name. Code Raven and Bill Barkley. And that is it. Of course, I want to thank Das Wolfen, Keith, and Martin. You guys are my bros, and I love you, and I love all of you. So I say from there, Martin, I think that's a good place to take us out. Everyone have a great afternoon.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Pop Culture Minefield. If you've enjoyed the show, please make sure to like, subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell icon for updates on our shows and channel. Also, please leave a comment, and we'd like to know what you thought of the episode, as well as letting us know if there's something you'd like us to cover in a future episode. Don't forget that you can become a member of Pop Culture Minefield now. Make sure to visit our membership page and merch store at popcultureminefield.com. You can always find Pop Culture Minefield on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch.